Hello friends. I hope you are all doing great and you had a wonderful weekend. I have to start by apologizing. I completely forgot to record a video on Friday. I'm so sorry. I guess I'm losing my marbles. So I will try to be better about making sure I get them every day, Monday through Friday, so that you can have something to look forward to and something to listen to, because we are getting to the end of the book and it's getting pretty good, isn't it? So where we left off last week was the witch asked to speak to Aslan. Do you remember that? And the conversation they had was a little bit confusing, but the witch talked about how because there was a traitor that she got to have the traitor to kill them. Do you remember who the traitor was? That's right, it was Edmund. And so then Aslan and the witch walked off by themselves a little bit. Remember that picture? And they had a conversation, and we don't know what was said in that conversation, but they came back and the witch agreed to not take Edmund to kill him. So I asked you to think about, what do you think they might have agreed to that would make the witch say that she didn't want to take Edmund anymore? We don't know. But that is where we left off, and so hopefully we'll get some answers today. So we are on chapter 14. This chapter is called The Triumph of the Witch. Do you know what triumph means? It means like victory. As soon as the witch had gone, Aslan said, "We must move from this place at once. It will be wanted for other purposes. We shall encamp tonight at the fords of Baruna." Of course, everyone was dying to ask him how he had arranged matters with the witch, but his face was stern, and everyone's ears were still ringing with the sound of his roar, and so nobody dared. After a meal, which was taken in the open air on the hilltop, for the sun had got strong by now and dried the grass, they were busy for a while taking the pavilion down and packing things up. Before 2 o'clock, they were on the march and set off in a northeasterly direction, walking at an easy pace, for they had not far to go. During the first part of the journey, Aslan explained to Peter his plan of campaign. "As soon as she has finished her business in these parts," he said, "the witch and her crew will almost certainly fall back to her house and prepare for a siege. You may or may not be able to cut her off and prevent her from reaching it." He then went on to outline 2 plans of battle, one for fighting the witch and her people in the wood, and the other for assaulting her castle. And all of the time he was advising Peter how to conduct the operation, saying things like, "You must put your centaurs in such and such a place," or "You must post scouts to see that she doesn't do so and so." Till at last Peter said, "But you'll be there yourself, Aslan." "I can give you no promise of that," answered the lion. And he continued giving Peter his instructions. For the last part of the journey, it was Susan and Lucy who saw most of him. He did not talk very much and seemed to them to be sad. It was still afternoon when they came down to a place where the river valley had widened out and the river was broad and shallow. This was the fords of Baruna, and Aslan gave orders to halt on this side of the water. But Peter said, "Wouldn't it be better to camp on the far side, for fear she should try a night attack or anything?" Aslan, who seemed to have been thinking about something else, roused himself with a shake of his magnificent mane and said, "What's that?" Peter said it all over again. "No," said Aslan in a dull voice, as if it didn't matter. "No, she will not make an attack tonight." Then he sighed deeply. But presently he added, "All the same, it was well thought of. That is how a soldier ought to think. But it doesn't really matter." So they proceeded to pitch their camp. Aslan's mood affected everyone that evening. Peter was feeling uncomfortable too at the idea of fighting the battle on his own. The news that Aslan might not be there had come as a great shock to him. Supper that evening was a quiet meal. Everyone felt how different it had been last night, or even that morning. It was as if the good times, having just begun, were already drawing to their end. This feeling affected Susan so much that she couldn't get to sleep when she went to bed. And after she had lain counting sheep and turning over and over, she heard Lucy give a long sigh and turn over just beside her in the darkness. "Can't you get to sleep either?" said Susan. "No," said Lucy. "I thought you were asleep. I say, Susan." "What?" I have a most horrible feeling, as if something were hanging over us. Have you? Because as a matter of fact, so have I. Something about Aslan, said Lucy. Either something dreadful is going to happen to him or something dreadful that he is going to do. There's been something wrong with him all afternoon, said Susan. Lucy, what was that he said about not being with us at the battle? You don't think he could be sneaking away and leaving us tonight, do you? Where is he now? Said Lucy. Is he here in the pavilion? I don't think so. Susan, let's go outside and have a look around. We might see him. All right, let's, said Susan. We might just as well be doing that as lying awake here. Very quietly, the two girls groped their way among the other sleepers and crept out of the tent. The moonlight was bright and everything was quite still except for the noise of the river chattering over the stones. Then Susan suddenly caught Lucy's arm and said, Look! On the far side of the camping ground, just where the trees began, they saw the lion slowly walking away from them into the wood. Without a word, they both followed him. We will stop there for today, my friends. What do you think Aslan is doing? What is going on? And why do you think that Aslan said he might not be at the battle with them against the White Witch? Where could he be going? Do you think Susan and Lucy are right that he might be sneaking away to move on to one of his other countries that he rules over? I don't know, but that's something for you to think about, and we will find out tomorrow when we finish that. Well, it's going to be a long reading tomorrow, but we'll finish the chapter tomorrow. Have a great day. I miss you.